Excuse my extremely congested nose. The allergies are coming in for real. It is allergy season. But anyways, this video is my setup of the contest prep, how I'm going to start it, how I'm going to go about it, how I'm planning on doing it all. And you guys have been asking for this for so many mini videos, so many weeks and stuff. So I wanted to sit down and actually just lay it all out for you guys so you can see how I'm going to attack this. Now the contest that I'll be competing in, and also Obese to Beast and LP, my brother, will be competing in, is on June 11th, which gives us 14 weeks of contest prep, which is a little bit less than the 16-week one that most people will go for, but I feel confident, and I also have a lower body fat than I usually go into my cuts with. I'm starting this contest prep at about 215 pounds. Last time I clocked myself in, I think I was at 217, so we'll just say 215 as a roundabout number. And the first week, I'm actually not going to be going into a deficit. The first week, what I'm going to be doing is, instead of being in a surplus like I have been for this bulk, I'm actually going to drop it down to just maintenance. I know it sounds kind of weird, but it's sort of an acclimation period for my body to get used to it, my mind to get used to it, and then the next week we start with the deficit. Now I know roughly what my maintenance is because I've done a lot of contest preps, so at this point I've kind of realized where my calories need to be when I'm just trying to maintain or lose fat or whatever, and I feel like this is something you should do every time you contest prep, even with if you're with a coach, is you should take note of the things that you do and don't like. That way you can build your knowledge as you go. But anyways, my maintenance is usually roughly around 3,200 calories. Also, you can find a rough estimate of your total daily expenditure in energy by looking up a TDEE calculator. Basically, you're just gonna punch in your numbers, your height, your weight, everything, your age, and your activity level and whatnot. It's gonna tell you a rough number. Then you can kind of play with that number and see if you're hungry, if you're full, and then you can adjust the calories and you'll find what your maintenance is. Maintenance means that you won't be gaining any weight, you won't be losing any weight. Now, also, a lot of you guys have been asking me, what's my macronutrient ratio going to be? Because a lot of people like to go higher protein, or some people like to cut carbs completely on the contest preps. I like to keep things pretty similar to how they've always been, and I've always been that way even before going vegan. I like to keep things relatively similar in the ratios. So my ratio is actually going to be a little bit higher than it has been in the previous contest preps, but that's also because my ratio has been higher in this bulk than it has in previous bulks. My ratio is going to be about 60% carbs, about 20% protein, and about 20% fat. Now that ratio will probably switch just ever so slightly, borrowing from the carbs and keeping the protein up as the calories go lower, because I never want to go below probably 145. Yeah, I'd say about 145 grams of protein. So as the calories drop, I'm gonna be taking them a lot more from the carbs and partly from the fats, but I'm gonna be trying to keep my protein constant, so that will skew the ratios as we go forward. But I'll keep you guys updated on that, of course. So essentially, for my first week right now in this contest prep, this maintenance week, I'm going to be starting with 464 grams of carbs. I know it's crazy, right? 152 grams of protein and 82 grams of fat. And of course, like I said, that will be going down week by week. My plan is, usually what I do with contest preps and with cuts of any kind, is I start with this maintenance week, and then each week I drop the calories by roughly about 150 to 200 calories each week. Personally, I'm a huge believer in never doing anything drastically. If you're gonna start a bulk, don't jump into the bulk really quick. And if you're gonna start a cut, then don't jump into the cut. Doing this slow 150 calorie, 200 calorie drop as we go will slowly allow my body to adjust and also keep the fat loss constant, while hopefully minimizing the amount of muscle loss as we go forward, and especially towards the last couple of weeks when you're really low on calories. Like I said earlier, I'm starting this cut at 215 pounds roughly or so. So for the first 2 weeks, you can actually expect to see me lose a lot of weight, and then this is not body fat that I'm losing, this is not muscle that I'm losing, but what's happening is, as you go into a deficit on your cut, and especially the larger body mass you have and the more surface area your body has, I'll be losing about probably 5 pounds a week for the first week and a half, 2 weeks. And this is essentially water loss because I'm having a little bit less sodium, because when I'm bulking, I don't care about sodium at all. I'm still not gonna be watching my sodium too much earlier in the cut, but towards the end, it'll get a lot worse. So I'll start really tapering down my sodium. Also, glycogen stores. My muscles won't have as much glycogen because I'll be dropping my carbs and dropping my calories. So you'll see weight loss there. And also in general, water retention, because I'll be doing cardio now that I'm on the cut, and that generally makes me lose a lot of water. It makes me not hold as much water throughout the day, whereas when I'm bulking, I'm kind of like a water buffalo. I hold it all over my body, all over my legs, especially under my jowls. And now you might be wondering, how many pounds am I planning on competing at? It might astound you. I'm gonna start at this 215 number, but I'm planning on competing somewhere around, I'd say 185 pounds is my goal. Now, it could be a couple pounds shy, it could be higher or lower, but yeah, I wanna get pretty cut this time. I want to see if I can get more conditioned than the last competition that I went into, and that'll involve me losing a little bit more weight. Now, how do I plan on setting up my cardio for this contest prep? Like I've said before, I like to stick to the same things that have been working, and I like to just build on them instead of trying to switch things up every time. Oh, this time I'm gonna do HIIT, this time I'm gonna do steady state. I like to just do what I've known has always worked. And what always works for me is to do some medium paced steady state cardio, and I do it 6 days a week. So I'll be starting at 15 minutes a day for 6 days a week, and the 6 days a week thing never stops for the entire contest prep. The only thing that changes is the minutes. So what I'm gonna be doing is stairs. That's the cardio of choice for me. It conditions my legs really well, gets my calves going a little bit, and just personally, I feel like it's my best type of cardio, because if I'm on the bicycle or if I'm swimming or something, sometimes my own pace will slow down just because I'm getting tired, my calories are low, I'm just, you know, in general, you're just having less energy. So it's hard to keep yourself running really fast and going really fast. With stairs, because you're on the stair mill, it's causing you to keep up with the pace of the machine. So if it's at level 9, you're gonna go level 9, because if you don't keep up at level 9, you're gonna fall, trip, smash your teeth in on the stairs, fall on the ground, people are gonna laugh at you, right? No, hopefully that doesn't really happen to you if you ever trip on the stairs, but you get my point. Is when you're on something like a treadmill or a Stairmaster, you have to keep up with the pace of the machine, so the machine is actually basically your pacemaker. So for me, the stairs keep me on point with my cardio, and I just generally stick with those the whole time. So I start with 15 minutes a day for 6 days a week, and then each week I add roughly about 5 minutes a day. So maybe the second week I'll do 20 minutes every day, except for one day it'll be like 15 minutes. And then next week it'll move up to 25 minutes with a couple 20 minutes in there. And then the fourth week it'll be all 25 minutes, fifth week 30 minutes. Basically what my plan is to slowly add the minutes in there until I finish somewhere at around 35 to 45 minutes per session towards the end of contest prep, like towards the last 3, 2, 1 weeks. And the idea here is, of course, we're losing body fat with the cardio. The cardio helps you, burn energy, burn calories and whatnot, and that helps you lose fat. But also a big thing with cardio, and the reason that I taper it up so much towards the end of my contest prep, is that cardio conditions you. And the idea of conditioning is essentially because your body is working so much, your muscles will become, I swear, it's weird. They look deeper, they look more dense, and they look more striated. And I think this is generally just because you're doing a lot of aerobic activity, whereas usually, in my bulks, I don't do very much cardio at all, so I'm doing all anaerobic activity. My muscles are all performing on an anaerobic, pathway. Whereas when I do the cardio, now they have to also recruit this other type of muscles that are much more anaerobic, or much more aerobic, so they use air. And just generally, I see my muscles get, like I said, more dense and more striated, and they just look more developed and more mature. So this is called conditioning. So let's just cover a couple quick tips that I have from the past of dieting and how I've kind of helped myself get through diets. I generally don't cut the calories too fast, so I'm not starving when I'm cutting, and I don't like the idea of being just deathly starving. I never really go super low in calories. I'll probably end my cut, maybe it's somewhere like 2,000 calories at the lowest or something like that. But I never go to 1,000 calories and I'm sitting there oh, I wish I could eat one tiny little Kix or something like that. A little piece of whole grain cereal would be amazing. I don't like to do that. So here are some tips though that help me get through my cut and help it make it a lot easier. One of the things is intermittent fasting for me. As I get in lower calories, like right now when I do this maintenance week, it's gonna be relatively easy, so I'm just gonna do it. But as I get farther into the cut, maybe 2 months in or something, my calories are gonna be much lower. So I'm gonna be eating much smaller meals all throughout the day. So what I'll do is I'll switch over to intermittent fasting. There's actually a video going up on Obese to Beast channel. I don't know if he has it up yet, but I just basically go over intermittent fasting if you want a little bit more information. I'll also make a more in-depth, detailed video about intermittent fasting. But essentially what I do is, instead of eating all my little meals throughout the day, is I just don't eat throughout the beginning of the day, and I smash all of my meals into the end of the day for the last 4 hours before I go to bed. This essentially allows me to eat the meals that I've always enjoyed eating when I'm bulking, in terms of eating 1,000 calorie meals. So I could have maybe 2 1,000 calorie meals and then a little snack, and then I go to bed. So I'm able to feast. That makes me feel a lot better mentally. I'm able to chew a lot and swallow a lot. I feel full at the end of the night. When I go to bed, I'm full. It's hard for me to sleep if I'm hungry. I literally just sit there and I just stare at the wall, and then sometimes I crack. So the intermittent fasting thing helps me a lot. Another thing that I'm actually looking forward to a lot is eating salads. And now this is so bro sciencey. It sounds like what everyone says when they're dieting. They're like, oh, eat a lot of salads. That's not the point. It's not the salad is a magic thing that burns more calories or anything. But the idea with salads that I'm looking forward to so much, I love them, is one, I love dressings, so I don't have to watch the sodium in the beginning of the contest prep, so that's totally fine. But But salads are just like crunchy water. They're like, that's what Tim Thibodeau calls them. There's literally like no calories in salad. Like, you can get like a pound bag and it'll be like 120 calories. So I'll eat these massive, huge salads with salad dressing and, you know, like a little pieces of like protein that I want to throw in there or whatever. And I'll mac on them, and essentially what's happening is I'm able to chew maybe 30 bites and I only use up 400 calories or something if I'm using lots of dressing and croutons and stuff like that. See what I'm saying? So I'm able to chew and get that stimulation, that mental thought that I'm eating a lot without actually going high in my calories. So salads are a huge thing for me. Another thing that's huge for me are BCAAs. I don't know if you guys know what this is. It's branched chain amino acids. There is and isn't science about it. Like there's studies that go both way in terms of like BCAAs helping you not use your muscles when you're in a deficit in calories. Now, I don't like to state things to you guys unless I'm absolutely 100% sure and there's scientific studies behind it. So I don't want to say that BCAAs are something that you need to take when you cut because they will spare your muscle and they will do this and that. I don't know, but I do feel like a placebo effect. I feel better when I have BCAAs in me when I'm cutting because I'm just like, oh man, like I finish my weight training, I eat an apple before my cardio, and I drink some BCAAs. I feel like it's good for me. Who knows? Maybe it's just completely bro science, but it makes me feel better. The other huge advantage, probably the biggest huge advantage, probably like 80% of the reason I drink BCAAs when I'm cutting, is that because you're having so many less calories, because you're craving flavor, especially sweets and stuff, you just really want something sweet. BCAAs basically have 0 calories. They all list 0 calories, and there are like 100 flavors of them. There are like watermelon ones, there are coffee BCAAs, there's chocolate fudge ones, there's like bubblegum ones, there's BCAAs for any sort of flavor that you could be craving. So I use BCAAs to kind of take care of my cravings. One of the last things you might be asking is, how do I plan on approaching my last couple of weeks, my contest peak week, being a vegan, right? Because I'm not gonna be able to eat the whole tilapia and asparagus diet or whatever most people go into. I actually don't do those kind of like crazy deprivation diets or carb diets or whatever. Like I said, I like to just be lean enough for the contest that when I show up, I'm fine. I don't have to like try to drop my water so that I look more cut or whatever. I just try to be cut so that when I go on stage, it doesn't matter. So what my plan is, and what I've always done, is try to cut the sodium and preservatives down the last couple of weeks before the contest peak week, the last 1 week before the contest. That way my body is already sort of adjusted to having less sodium, less preservatives, less all sorts of stuff that would help me hold water. That way I can kind of see visually where I am and also get my body used to eating this certain way where I'm not holding an excess amount of water. So I'll be increasing the amount of whole foods and just like low sodium, low preservative, low chemical foods. So I'll be eating lots of like beans, rice, lentils, tofu, seitan, lots and lots of vegetables until the last week where I'll be tapering down my vegetables a little bit. But you see what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be eating like the orange chicken Gardein stuff. I'll be eating that all throughout the cut, but not the last 3 weeks because I'll need to cut down on that stuff in terms of sodium and preservatives and whatnot. That way I can kind of regulate how my water retention is going. There it is, my friends. That is how I'm going to attack this contest prep, how I'm gonna go into it, how I'm gonna set it up, how I'm going to finish it. I know this is, you know, you're hearing from me who's a vegan, but this is applicable to anybody who's any diet lifestyle. But I just think it's also interesting for people who are interested in hearing like, how the hell are you gonna do this while you're vegan? It's going to be awesome. There's gonna be a series the whole time so you guys can follow along week by week, see how it goes, see me get more cut. I'm super excited about it because I look like a whole different person when I'm cutting. People are gonna be like, oh dude, you're on steroids. But no, I've just lost body fat finally, and you just have gotten adjusted to seeing me for like 9 or 10 months with all this water and fat retention and whatnot. So I'm really excited about the contest prep. The contest, again, will be on June 11th here in San Diego at the Scottish Rite Center. So if you are planning on either attending and just showing love, being a spectator and showing love when we go on stage, you know, me, LPO, Beast to Beast, all the other people and Beyond the Week screaming, yeah, Beyond the Week, I wanna lick your titties, yeah! That would be awesome. I would appreciate it. It makes me feel so much better. It makes any competitor feel so much better on stage when there's people screaming. But also, anybody who wants to compete with us, that is absolutely fine. I invite you. Please, if you want to, this is a great time to do it. Come compete with the guys you watch on YouTube, come compete with the Beyond the Week guys. Other Beyond the Week supporters and fans and whatnot will be there competing. So if you are interested, I will leave the link in the description below. You can go there, check it out, and decide whether you're gonna do it or not. We're all gonna be competing in men's physique. I hope this was a good video. If it was, please let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you have any other questions about contest prep or how I'm gonna be adjusting or doing this, please leave them in the comments below so that I can see them and see what you guys want to know. I'll cover it. I'll either answer in the comments or I'll cover it in some of my Hercules episodes coming up. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed already, subscribe. Team Beyond the Week, CT.
Lift heavy or die, MIRIN, mother.